we got into a little Corey Perry discussion yesterday. I told you guys all along he's coming back. And then you guys mentioned the Leafs yesterday, and I said probably not, based on a lot of factors, which we're going to revisit right now.
Oh, great.
But I also said yesterday, don't be surprised to hear about the Leafs floating something out there that would link them. I think that may have happened yesterday because it seems to be a very hot conversation today amongst many in Leaf Nation on Corey Perry. Do you see a fit? Do you want him here? Do you not want to have him here?
You're looking
Sammy,
at me?
you've been licking your chops for the last 24 hours.
You know, much like the last Corey Perry situation, I have received a unbelievable amount of texts and questions about this.
People really find Corey Perry talk interesting.
I was in 2 hockey dressing rooms within the last 12 hours. Don't ask me why I was doing that.
Itself is mental, playing that much hockey.
You're trying to make the pros. That's what you're doing.
I just love it. I love playing. But
great game.
Dominated the conversation in both of those dressing rooms last night, this morning. It's a huge thing. And everyone's, I text group chats, everyone. I didn't expect it to be this hot, but it's immediately this hot. Obviously, Carlo on the other station saying that there's mutual interest this morning. Like, this seems like it's really popping up here.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. I always linked it to the comparison of Evander Kane, where you come in with some baggage, and let's make no bones about it here.
Baggage.
Mm-hmm. Chicago Blackhawk baggage here. And where do you think the majority of the public is on that in the hockey world, let alone Leaf Nation here? Sammy, did you not float out? You were so excited about the talk about Corey Perry that you actually
did prep.
No, but you also put something on your formerly Twitter account.
Well, I did a poll. I was genuinely interested to see how people are feeling about this because I think it's a pretty polarizing situation, and it's not nearly as polarizing as I thought it was.
Let's hear the results.
I put it, with uncertainty and questions about what led to Corey Perry being cut by Chicago, would you be comfortable with the Leafs signing him? Pretty simple, cut and dry, not leaning one way or the other. And 73% of over 2,000 people voted yes, that they're comfortable.
This is the poll the Leafs were looking for. This is going to be in Tree's office.
But are they like Sammy?
Every reply, 50 replies, yes. Can I vote twice? Yes.
Are they all like Sammy, where it's like, I don't care what he did. He's going to help us win.
Put words in Sammy's mouth.
Listen, I do care what he did, but when you're looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs here, there is a very clear fit for Corey Perry.
Yeah,
there's been
great observation.
That's what I mean. There's been mutual interest, and you don't know what bringing him in here and what it does to your chemistry and all that stuff. But for a team that has had these playoff failures, many of them to the man himself, Corey Perry, there's going to be a fan base that when he is available.
Can we get the guy who loses in the cup final all the time? Can we get that guy?
Buddy,
they'll take it. I know. I'm joking. But
I think that's what's got people all fired up here.
I would say there's a bit of a misunderstanding that seems to be driving some of this just like blanket acceptance of Corey Perry coming to everyone's favorite team. And people seem to think that what Corey Perry did went to Commissioner Bettman, who reviewed what happened, said it's not that bad, it's okay, he's eligible to play, and everyone's saying we want Corey Perry. When, as I understand it, Kip, and you can better correct me on this, no one's really sure what happened, the details of this case. Exactly. Bettman doesn't know enough to say he can't play. So he can play until he knows enough.
This has basically been the way it's been for years, maybe even since the league started. And yeah, Sammy, you care what he did, but we'll never know what he did. That thing is somewhere in a vault, and whether it's Corey Perry or anything else that's been questionable over the years, there's been a policy in the National Hockey League where the fans are just on a need-to-know basis.
Treat them like
everything's
mushrooms.
great.
And right now, you all don't need to know.
Yeah.
But
And so what's left for us to base anything on if we just will never know the answers? Listen, people still got questions on Joel Quenneville. Like, he's out of the league. We're under the impression that he can't come back. Nobody knows why.
well, I mean, they know
No,
why.
what?
Someone,
Tell me. Tell me. What?
I mean, they know why. They know the situation.
knows
surrounding
why?
it. Well, not us, but we kind of know, Kippy. Like, we kind of know why. I don't need to
Share.
lay it out. I
Share.
mean, do I have to lay it out? The Blackhawk situation of 10 years ago? Like, there's a pretty clear reason
No,
why he's
you know
out.
the big picture,
Yes.
Sammy. You don't know anything about Joel Quenneville and why he's out now.
Well,
And we don't know why any more than we know what happened to Corey Perry and why they found cause on him.
for sure. And I'm just saying that, like, if Corey Perry comes to a market like this, where there's going to be a lot of questions like you've laid out yesterday, is it going to be more people sniffing around trying to find out what happened? Is it going to be more people that are like, oh, well, we got to get, like, is there a way he signs here and then it comes out and then everybody looks horrible? Like, is that in the cards?
That's kind of the thing. If an organization in the NHL deemed what he did bad enough that they would just rather not have the good player on their team, but, then why would it be different for your organization? Are you saying what he did doesn't matter then? Like, is it, it happened to some other people, we don't care about that? Like, if they said it was bad enough that they don't want him around, why do we want him around? Like, maybe, or
And if the Leafs or any other club says we don't think it was remotely as bad as people thought,
Yep.
you just take them for their word.
yeah, I mean, to your point that we're not going to know exactly, I feel like we will we not? Like, will there not have to be some sort of, like, is there going to be a legal case involved?
I don't know. No.
Yeah.
So this is where probably it's still open-ended on whether or not Corey Perry will go back to Chicago and grieve their decision on terminating his contract.
It's still, undecided, is that what you just said?
Undecided.
Okay, yeah.
He had 60 days to decide whether or not he wanted to put a formal grievance together through the Players Association, and that has not happened as of yet.
Yeah.
But if Corey Perry does want to come back to play, I would assume that grieving it can only help him.
Like,
without
the optics of it.
The optics.
Well, if he grieves it, do they then have to make public
no.
more of it? No, it would still say.
No. It would
You're
stay
right, then grieving
internal.
would certainly make it
It would stay internal, and it would all you would be privileged to is the result.
And what would Gary Bettman have to know about this Corey Perry
Great question.
case right now? Like, what level of knowledge would he have about it, or would he have to be informed on it to say that, yeah, he can still play? Like, he hasn't legally been charged with anything, so how can I tell him he can't play in the league? Does he have to know anything? He may not know anything either. He just says, I don't know enough to say.
He knows everything.
He knows everything.
He knows everything.
And
he's spoken to Chicago.
Okay.
He's spoken to Corey Perry.
Okay.
He's spoken to everybody. At least my understanding is he's done his own investigation on it.
So then, maybe I need to walk back what I said earlier in the show, that he has looked at this and he has said that it doesn't rise to the level where he can't play in the league. In which case I start going back to Sammy's side and saying, okay, if they've taken their time and they have the facts and the commissioner says it's okay, you have flawed people all over the league.
There's also a thought that he may still not like what he found, but is it enough
to set a precedent
is it enough to keep a man away from his right to a livelihood? Meaning, you want to tell him that he can't play anymore in the league, and he hasn't been charged with anything. He hasn't shown anybody that he's broken the law. So am I not setting myself up for the potential of a lawsuit? I mean, those are the things that they got to
You're
think
right.
about.
The union would probably be very upset.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my understanding as of today is the NHLPA will grieve this.
Yeah.
And they don't need, again, my understanding is they won't need Corey Perry to say yes or no.
Oh, really? The union itself can say, we don't like what's happening here.
Yeah. When you think about it, from a union perspective, from a players' association perspective,
We do not agree.
no, I think
The
we
whole
agree.
union doesn't. We do. The union does.
Okay. That this is probably less about Corey Perry and more about 750 members on if Chicago thinks that they can just form a judgment on where that line has been crossed on code of conduct, then, man, there's a lot of other teams that would like to look at 2 or 3 of their contracts and go, man, I'd love to get out of that one.
Yeah. Heard about a night you had, whatever.
That's why the PA has to grieve it. And I think they will. And if it is favorable to Corey Perry, then it kind of helps
But what if it's
the
not?
optics of Chicago overreacted. How about that?
Sure, I would agree. But if it doesn't go his way, does that hurt things? I don't know. It's
If you were a general manager that's like wanting to sign Corey Perry, you could also, I guess, convince yourself that you're like, well, Chicago obviously had these issues in the past where it was a very high profile scandal and they have to be uber sensitive with any sort of situation like this. And maybe that's the reason that they let him. Like, there's all sorts
They're
of
not even trying to win.
there's mental gymnastics that you would pull yourself through to try to convince yourself. Yeah, they're trying to lose. They suck. Like, there's all these different things. But yeah, I gotta say, I was surprised at how overwhelmingly, and it's like I'm not on right wing Twitter here. Like, I have a pretty normal following of people that like the Leafs and are normal people, and everyone is saying yes.
Yeah, because I
which
think,
I'm surprised by.
No, I just think it's people assessing there's a hockey player who fits a need that the Leafs have, and I get that. It's there. I do think it's a valuable question of, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like Corey Perry's a big name. There's a lot of attention that comes with him. He's probably a 4th line level player right now. He's not going to play first power play unit like he was in Chicago. It's his contribution is going to be of some value.
What about him and Reeves?
Is it enough? Yeah. Is it enough to justify what it's going to bring to the team, the organization, the attention?
That's a fair question.
The point that I really made yesterday is that this market's a beast. And for you and your 1,000, 2,000 voters,
Respondees.
they're probably kind of like you. Right?
Really lovely people, good
They
golfers.
follow you.
Like-
They love you.
like-minded?
It's like, yeah, let them play. I don't see anything wrong,
Wow.
which is fine. But this market, as we know it, like, how many people won't let it go and move on in this market? How many people that don't necessarily cover hockey but cover human interest stories?
Yeah, that's the nightmare when you're a hockey
let it
player,
go.
when like the
Yeah, you don't want to see-
breakfast
yeah, I was gonna
television's
say-
there, and you're like, oh, come on.
The crime reporter from City News 680 shows up at practice. That's not what you want.
Corey Perry, Robin Doolittle.
And there's
here.
also-
oh no,
There's just not Corey. He's got a wife. He's got a family.
Yeah.
of course.
In this market, are they prepared to, I don't know, think that they can just come in and weather the storm for a few days and then everybody's going to leave you alone, or is it not? And that's a tough question to ask. Really tough question to ask.
I would say it's a substantial risk for the Leafs to take. The only thing is, if he signs, he's probably going to sign for minimum or close to, right? And you could, if it doesn't work out, you could bury a guy, in the minors.
Yeah, you
put him
can,
through
but
waivers
I hope that's not the case, right?
yeah.
And I know we set up the comparable to maybe the baggage that Evander Kane brought Edmonton, and that seemed to overall work out, right?
Well, shoot a lot of pucks in the net, and people, yes, it did seem to work out.
Yeah.
To answer your question,
But that's Cates is one owner. Just go for it. here.
Yeah. Getting an approval here
Bell,
involves a few more conversations.
Bell, Rogers,
Yeah.
big corporations, big picture, ownership, think a lot bigger than wins and losses.
A few more cooks in the kitchen. If
Yeah.
You will,
So
here.
not an easy decision for the Toronto Maple Leafs on Corey Perry is
But you
basically the gist of this conversation.
Would love to hear from people and get their opinion
Are you-
beyond Sam's poll. If you want to text 590-590
they're text-
or are they? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're texting.
Fire us a whatever. Tweet.
I mean, do you think there's interest?
Listen, they're not doing their jobs if there's no interest. How's that for an answer?
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough. You want to talk about the hockey game tonight? Or do you want to keep talking about Corey Perry?
No, I'm good. Oh, just one more.
Yeah.
Is he still the player he was 2 or 3 years ago that we saw in Tampa Bay and that can piss people off and score a big goal? He's how old now? 38, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
Is he still got the juice?
It's just who, like a bad version of Corey Perry is just like kind of better than what the Leafs have had on the fourth line for years in the playoffs. Someone who can, be
It's
annoying,
like-
play in traffic, shoot one in the net if it comes to his stick.
That Corey Perry signing buries Ryan Reeves, right?
Yeah, he's gone.
Buries him.
Reeves has had a tough go. He's ready to play, by the way. Is he not?
He's
He's skating. He's functioning.
He's Wayne Simmons of last year.
Like he's able to be a part of it. He's just
Where
around
is
the
he?
team.
Is he
He's
playing? Is he not playing? Is he not to the point where maybe go play some games with the Marlies and stay sharp? Is that where we're at?
I wonder if,
He's got 2 more years left on his deal.
I know. That makes things more challenging.
He had 9 points in 16 games to start this year, Corey Perry.
Yeah.
I think I watched him.
Do you have TOI there? Just
Yeah,
curious.
but
I
he
don't,
did
no.
it as a number one guy.
Yeah.
he was
right.
important. Yeah.
But I mean, I think that would probably.
If you can give him 9 points over playoffs, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And I saw him shoot one in the net and blow a kiss to the crowd in Toronto when we went to the alumni box. So,
Yeah.
I think there's still some. Anyways.
McMahon looks pretty
just
good.
say
I'm
it.
not sure
It's
if I
gonna-
would roll
sign
the
him.
dice on
Just
this
say it.
one.
It's going to
I
really
don't-
suck when he
I'm
signs
not-
with Florida boys. It's
Yeah.
really going to suck. And he's going to be great. And everyone's going to be like, oh, he's washed up. He's no good. And he's going to go play for Carolina or Florida, score a big goal in the playoffs. It's going to happen.
This is the fan
No, it's-
coming out, though. This
It
is not the
I am
rational.
yeah, but guess what? Guess why I'm here, buddy? I'm a fan.
I know.
And I hate Corey Perry's guts, and I've
That's
hated
a
Corey
fear.
Perry's
You're
guts.
speaking out of fear.
No, I'm speaking out of watching it happen year after year. Montreal, Tampa.
Yeah.
Ask Oilers fans what they think about Corey Perry. With the Ducks,
He's done it to a lot of teams.
it's
You're
going to
afraid.
suck. It's going to suck when he signs somewhere else and is a good contributor in the playoffs, and the Leafs didn't do it because of reasons that
It
we don't
might be
know.
worse to have him here and have him score 3 goals, then find out he did something horrific and you were the team that was okay with it because he could shoot a couple in the net.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
might be
That
worse.
sucks too.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that going to happen if he goes to Florida?
I mean,
Because
could just
someone's
as
going to
well.
sign him.
Someone is going to
Oh
sign
yeah,
him.
someone's definitely going to sign him.
So, anyways,
I despise that.
I do. And I've
Okay.
hated him for too long, and I'm ready to like
They're
him.
ready to go
I'm
to
ready
the dark
to like
side.
him.